Welcome everyone to another episode of SG Crypto. In this episode, we're going to be covering the differences in yield farming. Really just the various options available in DeFi, such as yield farming, staking, governance staking, liquidity mining. Those are really the ones we're going to cover. Just different ways that you can earn an income in this, and I'll briefly describe each as we go along. Just so you guys have an understanding of what the purpose is behind it, so you can actually kind of grasp an understanding of, okay, you're staking your funds here, but how is all this possible? How am I earning this rate, right? Because the stuff doesn't just come out of thin air. And before we get into it, I do want to kind of shout out the Discord if you guys are interested in having a place where you can ask questions related to crypto or NFTs and stuff like that. I have a Discord linked in the description. Been having people join, and it's also a place where if you have a question, it's easier to get an answer there rather than asking in the comment section, because I'm not always able to get to those comments right away. And that Discord is just allows for a more intimate relationship and better Q&A, right? And also beyond that, I also want to inform you guys, especially those of you who have been following my work, that I'm working right now, been working on it for the past 2 weeks, a course. It's actually a DeFi course, decentralized finance. It's really like an A to Z course, so teaching you everything from all these keywords like protocols, dApps, DeFi, what is DeFi, liquidity pools, all this stuff, teaching you guys every bit of that. And then all the way from strategies that you can utilize in the space to earn some passive income, especially we're definitely still in a bull market. And, once you start to take profits, what are you going to do with that money? Are you just going to let it sit in your account? Some people are afraid to even make money because they don't know what they're going to do with it. So having a plan is important, and DeFi is definitely an avenue that you can use to, obviously, after you make your money, keep it making you even more money passively in the case of DeFi, right? And so that course, I plan to have it finished by the end of April here. So beginning of May, it should be available to everyone. It's just it's a lot to work through, and I want to make sure that it is packed with valuable information. So let's get into it. So the first one I want to cover is governance staking. So this is probably the simplest, especially if you're using Keplr. So I use Keplr, the Keplr wallet, because I use Osmosis, and it's very simple. So I have it here. I'm going to click it. If you see my cursor up here in the top right, I'll click it. For some reason, the last video of the Keplr wallet, when it pops down, like right now, I see a menu right here where my cursor is scrolling. And I noticed that in the video footage of last video, when I had this pulled down, you couldn't see it. So you probably don't see it. But if you have the Keplr wallet, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So you can go to press stake. This will pull up this page here. Okay. And here, this is for validators. This is where, and the beautiful thing about Keplr, this is why I like it. It has many chains incorporated into it. So Cosmos Hub, so you can stake your Atom for governance. Osmosis, obviously you can stake your Osmo. Secret Network, Akash. Some of these I'm not familiar with, but crypto.org I use. And I have a lot of CRO. So being able to stake that here is very nifty, very simplistic, honestly. Just to earn some income on it, it's like 16%. And how you're earning with these, so these validator nodes, this is for the consensus methods. So you have various types of ways blockchains work, right? And how they maintain consensus and their information. And so you have the base method, which is proof of work. That's Bitcoin blockchain. They are using proof of work. And so that's why people have to have a mining rig, like these high computing computers that are solving essentially a super complex mathematical problem. So these mining rigs are running an algorithm to solve these problems, and so that is how the Bitcoin blockchain, maintains consensus and validates the information. And so this is called a proof of stake. What we're doing right here. So these validators are, you can delegate to these validators, and they have the purpose of maintaining consensus, right? So it's much more energy efficient, and that's why it's a much more popular method. I'll say that in the blockchain space. So that's what you're doing. That is what this is, and that's why you're earning. Because a validator, these are nodes. These validators are compensated if they validate a transaction, a group of transactions, and so whoever is delegated to them receives compensation as well, and it's directly proportionate to how much you have staked with them. So you see here, there's 14 million Osmos staked to them. So if you're a smaller portion of that, you're not going to receive just as much as someone who's staking 1 million Osmo as opposed to you staking 100, right? And so it's very simple. I'll just show you. I have 0.20 Osmo here. Super simple to do. For those of you who use Osmosis, you know exactly what I am doing here. Okay. I'm going to go 1.8 because need some extra funds for transaction fees. And then again, there's some stuff popping up over here where my cursor's at, but you guys, if the last video is still doing what it did last time, you were not going to see that. But super simple. Governance staking is a very easy method, and I hope you have an understanding of how it works. So second method is yield farming, and yield farming, really the purpose of it is, within yield farming there are liquidity pools, and there's staking, and there's liquidity providers, and AMMs, which is automated market makers. And so let me break that down. So these are liquidity pools, and the purpose of these liquidity pools, which fall under yield farming, right, is to bring liquidity to this network. This is Uniswap. And so the purpose of these liquidity pools and the purpose of yield farming in general is to bring liquidity to these networks. Okay. And the thing that facilitates the transactions on these networks is, like within these liquidity pools and everything, is AMMs, automated market makers, which is the equivalent to an order book in traditional markets, right? And so in these AMMs, there are two sides to it. There are two components that are necessary, and that's one is liquidity pool, and two is a liquidity provider, which is you and me. So us providing liquidity to this, okay, through these AMMs, the purpose of us locking our liquidity up is so people like me and you can buy, lend, borrow, swap, sell, all this stuff. Okay, that is the purpose. This liquidity is so this network can operate and function. So that is the purpose of yield farming, and that's why you'll see incentives to stake to them, right? So this is Uniswap. You can also use Osmosis. I like Osmosis a lot. It's a lot of good yields. I have a video on a method I'm using right now in this pool right here. Earning about $1 a day, which isn't crazy, but I only have 180 staked, so it's gonna pay itself off in no time. So yeah, so that's the second method. That's yield farming. And so with yield farming, you're gonna obviously, you see these two assets here. So you stake a 50-50 equivalent, USDC and ETH. You stake 50% USDC and 50% ETH to enter this pool. Okay. And sometimes you're going to see 3 asset pools. I've seen 4 asset pools. Okay, so it's sometimes it'll vary depending on the platform you're on, but the principles stay the same. If it's 4 asset pool, you'll provide 25% of each asset that is required in that pool. And sometimes you'll just have a 1 asset pool, like on Anchor protocol here. I'll leave links to every single one of these platforms in the description if you guys are interested in them. In this one, you stake a single asset, UST, and you receive this steady APY as of now. It's not always going to stay at 19.53, but it's a decent income. If you have $1,000, you're going to be earning $200 a year just off of staking that $1,000 here. Again, assuming that the APY stays the same for an entire year, which I can't imagine it would. And the other thing about this is, I don't want to get too off track, but you can buy insurance on this. So if the protocol fails, you can buy specific insurance to that, so you'll be protected. It's something new I recently found out, which is pretty cool. I don't use this, but I will be in the future, as you can see. And again, this is just a purpose of so people can borrow. So you entering your money into this, depositing it here, allows someone else to borrow on the other end. And then you can also stake your governance tokens as well. It's all encompassing, and it's just really, again, a way for the protocol to function, for all this to function. Okay, and then finally, all of you who have been following my channel are definitely familiar with this platform, Flare. I love this platform. I know this is the Songbird network, this is the test network, but I just love what they're doing. I've done an entire breakdown on every single protocol within this, breakdown on the entire network itself and what they're bringing to the space, how they are a one-of-a-kind platform, and it's just fascinating. And so this method is called liquidity mining, and it has the same purpose as yield farming. It could honestly fall under the term of yield farming. And so the purpose, as we've mentioned time and time again here, is to bring liquidity to the network for the purpose of, swapping, so buying or selling an asset or swapping an asset for lending or borrowing and all this stuff. So this platform, there's a lot you can do. It will in the future, so it has loans right now, it has yield farming, it has obviously its own exchange where you can swap into different assets, and in the future it's going to be massive. Check out my other videos if you're curious on that, or just do your own research in general, because this platform is going to be incredible. And right now, why I use this is just this test net. I use a small amount of money in case I lose it. I'm not going to be upset about it, and I use it just so I can develop a strategy. So when the main net does launch, I'll be one of the top earners out there with the amount of money I have, obviously. So yeah, so liquidity mining. So how this works is, let's think back to the yield farming, the two asset pools. You're going to be staking a 50-50. So in this case, you're going to be, if you wanted to enter this pool, you're going to be staking 50% SGB and 50% CAND. Okay, and then once you stake it here, you'll receive what is called an LP token, a liquidity pool token. And that liquidity pool token represents your two assets you put in here. So now your two assets are now represented by one token. And that one token, that LP token, can then be used across the network. So once you get that LP token on this specific platform, you would then go to Flare Farm, where you will see many different pools. Okay. And then you would find your pool. So we're looking, there it is. And that's the SGB Canary Dollar liquidity pool. And so you have the LP token necessary to enter this pool. So then you would allow it, enter the pool, and then you're earning SFIN. SFIN is their governance token. And so this is what you'll see in most cases. So now you're earning their SFIN token, and you could then bring that over here and start staking it in their stability pool. SFIN staking. So then you would then stake it here in the SFIN pool. Then you earn rewards from here on the daily. You'd be earning rewards from Flare Farm on the daily, and so you'd then just be restaking them and just compounding your earnings over and over again. And the incentive again is to, obviously with the SFIN token, to maintain consensus. And obviously this network has its own, I forget what it's called. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on the consensus they use on this, but these governance tokens just allow you to have a say in how the network runs on new platforms that come to, or new protocols that come to it, etc. So that is the last option that I want to cover in this video. There are several other ways you can earn in DeFi, but these are by far the simplest. If you are curious on let's say how to enter some pools like on Osmosis. This is the simplest platform I've used personally, and I really enjoy it. Lots of high yields right now. As you can see, 81% plus an additional 15 with the superfluid staking, extra 15, so almost 100% APR. There's a lot out there in DeFi. That's because we're very early. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they were saying how they want to get into it, but they're super late. And I kind of laughed because that is not true. We are very, very early, very early, and I feel very blessed to be a part of it all. And something, obviously there are risks involved with every single thing I've covered today, like impermanent loss. Impermanent loss is the biggest one that you want to, when you're entering a two asset pool, you want to be aware of impermanent loss. So impermanent loss, I've covered it in the past, but a simple explanation is, let's say you entered this pool, UST Osmo, the one I'm in now. Okay, you put $100 of UST in and $100 of Osmo in. Let's say, and the reason I do UST and Osmo is because it's paired to a stable coin. So a stable coin isn't really going to fluctuate. At least it's not supposed to, because it's pegged to $1, and so hence the term stable. And then Osmo is the only one that really will fluctuate. So if Osmo starts to go down, right, while I'm in this pool, my UST will start to go up, and so I will have less of a position in Osmo. So if I like the coin Osmo and I then exit this pool, I will not have as much Osmo as when I first entered. And so that impermanent loss is, okay, maybe I earned $10 while I was in the pool, but if I would have just held my Osmo instead of entering this pool, I could have made $50, right? So that is where that impermanent loss comes in. And I may have done a bad job of explaining that, but it's something to look into. It is something you need to be aware of. It's something I've covered in the past, but essentially think of this as like a scale. You have two arms on a scale, so if you put 50 pounds of silver in one arm and 50 pounds of gold in the other arm, it's going to be level. But if you take 1 pound off of the silver, gold is going to start to rise because it's not as heavy. Okay, and so it has to balance out. So then one piece of gold is going to have to be taken off the platform as well to equal out. And this is not the best analogy, but I think you get it, right? At least I hope you do. If you're not 100% certain of what impermanent loss is, look at some of my old videos. I cover it. It'll be in the title of those videos. And actually, I'll just leave a link to one of those videos in the description for you, so you don't have to go searching around. But there are risks involved with every single one of these. Obviously, the entire protocol could fail. There could be a rug pull. Smart contracts could fail. All this stuff. There are risks involved with everything. In this platform in particular, you are using an experimental product suite on a Songbird Canary network. Please be aware of the inherent risks involved. So it is a test net, so everything you lose is on you. The reason it is a test net, the reason they did this first before they launched their mainnet, is so that they could get any bugs and any failed like smart contract executions, any of that stuff. They get that out of the way, so when mainnet launches, will be as good as can be. So that's it for this video. Be aware of the risks with each of these things. None of this was financial advice, specifically for entertainment purposes. And if you found I said something wrong, please correct me in the comment section, or join the Discord. If you have comments, questions, concerns, join the Discord or leave a question in the comments. And yeah, I hope you have an awesome day. I hope you learned something.